Lights, camera, action. So, short addendum to lecture 3, the one on community and counterculture, a comparison. I was started to use these nifty little cards to prompt myself. And, you know, when the pressure's on, it's sometimes hard to read them. I got through all but one. And the one that I missed was one that I thought was key. But I like doing it today because it involves Allen Ginsberg, and today would have been Allen's 99th birthday. June 2nd. He was born June 2nd, 1926. So happy birthday, Allen, wherever you are. All right. So, okay, to put this in context, the point that I was making was, the overall point was that, well, one of the points was that Allen talked about respecting each other's madness. When questioned by Conan O'Brien, which I kind of made that the thesis of the beat part of the lecture. But I left out something key, which is this fantastic interview that he did, I want to say in about 94, in Oslo, Norway. And bless his heart, the interviewer, you know, was doing what I referred to, which he was looking backwards through the sort of hippie lens at the beats and making some assumptions that were pretty safe most of the time, but Allen got a little irritated with him because he wanted to project this idea that the beats in those early days were all for one and one for all. You know, that they had sort of, so they wanted to be writers, most of them. I don't know if Lucian ever aspired to be a writer at any point. I think he flirted with the idea. He certainly had the chops, at least verbally, to potentially, get something down that would be compelling. But as I've mentioned in other lectures, I think the crux of the new vision is really not to be a recorder, not to be a writer, not even necessarily to be an artist, but to be the art. And Lucian, and also I think of Neil Cassidy in the same way, also Gregory Corso. Gregory is a little bit of an anomaly, but in the case of Neil and Lucian, they didn't seem to have the patience to sit down and write, because it would have taken them out of the moment, which is the key, I think, to being that embodiment of the new vision, to be that art. So anyway, so the interviewer in Oslo, with this presumption and assumption that the beats were somehow, you know, like, who are the superheroes in the Hall of Justice, like hanging out, ready to fix the world and all of that. That isn't quite how it was. And he gets a little testy. You can look him up. In fact, you can look the interview up. It's on the Facebook group, Jack Kerouac, Lucian Carr, and the New Vision Revival, if you want to check it out. Or you can just look it up on YouTube. You just say Oslo Allen Ginsberg interview, and it'll come right up. So I'm going to read a little short transcript. First, from the interviewer. He said, "You started as a group of individuals, but at some moment you must have started feeling like a group with a common purpose." Allen: "No, a group of common friendship. I think this notion of common purpose is some ideological semantic problem by sociologists or journalists. A young group of friends is a young group of friends, whether it's a soccer club or people who go out and drink beer on Friday night or people who like to write poetry together or read each other's work. So it's elemental. It's not fractured. It's just it's an affinity group because they have a common interest and they like to do certain things together. It isn't some kind of quite frankly, it's not a counterculture." So the questioner goes on, "Your lives have taken different roads, the three of you. Can you already from the beginning see these differences?" Allen didn't like that either. "We were different from the beginning. What do you mean, taking different roads? We are not occupying the same body. Are we supposed to, what are we supposed to do, merge and become one clone?" There's another interview which I'm going to lean on a little bit in part 4, which is going to be focused on meaninglessness and what that means in the context of a quote from Allen and in the greater New Vision. And there's a wonderful interview. I think it's a little more to the heart of what Allen meant and why he kind of got irritated with this assumption that somehow they were, like a club or a counterculture, or people that felt like they had to sort of fly in formation in some way. The beauty and strength of the Beats is that they respected each other's madness, to use that phrase yet again, but also they were individuals first. They couldn't have done what they did while pretending. So it was the media that labeled them. The word beat sort of came out of it. It was mocked by Herb Caen in the San Francisco Chronicle as beatnik. But see, it's the media that tends to try to label people so that they can be a target, and they can be targeted for basically undermining them. But their contribution was not of that nature. They understood enough about what they were trying to do that they knew that while they may help and support each other at times, they were not there to fall in line, to have this sort of esprit de corps. And you get the idea. Oh, another quick little anecdote that I wanted to share was one of mentioning about how sort of out of line Gregory used to be. There's a fun story some of you may have heard where he was drinking at Vesuvio's, Cafe Vesuvio in San Francisco, which is right across the alley, which they now call Jack Kerouac Alley, right across the alley from City Lights, who happened to be one of his publishers. Well, I don't think it was ever his sole publisher. What did they publish? Gasoline? Anyhow, he was having a night, being Gregory, probably was intoxicated in at least one or two ways. And he decided to break into City Lights bookstore and grab the cash out of the cash register. And probably had 24 witnesses. I can't remember if anything came of that. I'm going to have to look it up again. But Gregory was a handful. But so you get the idea. Allen was there for that. He was there for a lot of other mischief among those that were around him. But that really makes a difference, because the Beats didn't try to put each other away. They weren't a bubble that they needed to shun people from. They embraced one another. They took care of one another because they were playing and acting and living on the big stage, not the small stage off to the side. Okay, you get the idea. That's all I had for tonight. Happy birthday, Allen Ginsberg. Would have been 99 today.